now think tanks. I mean Mr. Vikram Singh Mehta. In the introduction of the Brookings publication, the second Modi Summit, you have said, a successful summit is as good as the ability to deliver on the promises made. By this yardstick of yours, how would you rate this meeting? My second question is the same publication, Ms. Tanvi Madan claims there is concern about the reliability of the U.S., with the sense that the U.S. will end up choosing China because of the more interdependent Sino-American economic relations and or leave India in the lurch. After the second Modi-Obama summit, do you think such concerns about the U.S. are still legitimate?
It's on?
Yes.
No, you just turned it off.
Yes.
It's light.
Right. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Well, those are two very easy answers or questions. I do think that the ability to deliver is certainly a prerequisite for defining success. But it's too early to actually decide whether this summit is going to deliver. The delivery of promises between two governments is not just going to be based on what the two leaders have said. It is dependent on what the bureaucracy, what civic society, what business, the totality of all the stakeholders that are engaged in the specific promise. What do they and how do they respond? Now, in the case, let's say, of energy, which is a sector that I'm particularly familiar with, the delivery of the promise on this particular subject is not going to be in the hands of President Obama. President Obama will go back, and President Obama has made certain promises regards the relationship with India, but the energy sector is very much in the private corporate sector. The companies are going to have to decide whether or not it is in their interest to engage with India's energy sector. India, in fact, has a much greater ability to deliver on the promises with regard to the energy sector because it is dominated by the public sector. It is dominated by the bureaucracy. So the one area that I am optimistic about with regard to energy is technology, because the government of the United States has a very strong role to play in the delivery of technology in financing of R&D. The shale revolution, for instance, was initiated and financed by the government of the United States. It was then taken up by the private sector, who then commercialized it and brought it to the success that we've seen. So there is a lot that the government can do with regard to technology. Pentagon, for instance, is spending $9 billion on just R&D to green fossil fuels. Now, the Pentagon and the government of India, or the military establishment of India, could come together. That is where we look at the issue of delivery. But if you were to say, will U.S. companies now invest more in the energy sector? It is difficult to answer that question. It depends on the terms and conditions that the Indian government has to offer. And that is right across the value chain, from exploration and production, or shale oil, or nuclear, or indeed clean energy. So on that one question, I am going to withhold a clear answer. I don't think that it is premature to say, will the promises actually be delivered? What is clear is that the promises have been made with sincerity and conviction. What is clear is that both governments are looking now to translate conversation into substance, and that they are taking the statements that they made to each other in Delhi back to their constituencies and back to the other stakeholders, and ensuring that that is communicated clearly. From the point of view of India, I think we need to be clear that we are now in a very competitive environment, that we can't be looking to the past in order to actually solve our problems in the future. Energy, for example, in the past has been embroiled with all sorts of political and non-political issues that have held us back and that have actually stalled investment. If we were to look at the future, we have to recognize that we face a fundamental problem. Our demand is increasing exponentially, our supplies are not keeping pace with demand, and our environment is degrading because of the usage of energy. So we have to solve this problem. We have to bridge the gap between supply and demand, and we have to actually weaken the nexus between economic growth, energy demand, and environmental degradation. The answer to this is technology. And so that is the one peg on which I am hopeful that this particular promise will be delivered. Now, insofar as the second question is concerned and what Tanvi had said, I'm of course not going to speak on behalf of Tanvi, and I should just make one point very clear, that Brookings Institution does not have an institutional view. There is no institutional view that represents Brookings. So this view is Tanvi Madan's view, not Brookings' view, and so I am not going to be held responsible for what Tanvi said. Having said that, I actually don't think that we need to worry about the U.S. relationships with China. I think the relationship between U.S. and India is sufficiently strong, robust, in order for it to stand on its own two legs or own 2 feet without having a third-party issue coming into the discussion.